Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a truly epic journey back in time. 2.8 million years, to be exact. Imagine a world where the air was different, the plants were unfamiliar, and the biggest threats weren't always what you'd expect. We're diving deep into the ancient human experience, exploring what life was like under the shadow of some truly incredible creatures, including colossal birds. Get ready to discover a past that shaped who we are today. So, 2.8 million years ago, early humans weren't quite like us. We're talking about our ancestors, like Homo habilis, or even earlier hominins, just beginning their incredible evolutionary journey. They weren't building cities or inventing Wi-Fi. Clearly, their world was a vast, untamed landscape, often characterized by savannas, woodlands, and rivers, teeming with life. Survival was a daily, hourly challenge, and every decision mattered. What they, where they slept, and how they protected themselves were crucial. Their existence was a testament to resilience and adaptation, constantly learning and evolving to meet the demands of their environment. This was a time before widespread tool use, or at least before advanced tools. So imagine hunting or gathering with very basic implements, or perhaps just their bare hands and sharp wits. Now, let's talk about the incredible wildlife that shared this ancient stage. When we think of prehistoric threats, our minds often jump to saber-toothed cats or massive mammoths. And yes, those were definitely around and absolutely terrifying. But there was another, equally formidable, and often overlooked predator that dominated certain landscapes: giant birds. These aren't your backyard pigeons, folks. We're talking about birds of prey that could stand taller than a human, with wingspans that cast enormous shadows and beaks, powerful enough to deliver devastating blows. Think terror birds, like the Futushrosets in South America. Though at 2.8 million years ago, their close relatives or convergent forms might have roamed other continents, or similar large predatory birds occupied different niches. The sheer scale of these avian predators is mind-boggling. Imagine being an early human, perhaps a small group of individuals, foraging for roots or berries near a sparse woodland. Suddenly, a colossal shadow passes over you. Looking up, you might see a bird with a head the size of a small dog, piercing eyes and talons that could easily snatch a small animal or an unwary hominin. These weren't creatures to be trifled with. Their speed, powerful legs, and keen eyesight made them incredibly effective hunters. They would have been silent, swift, and utterly relentless. The psychological impact of living in a world where a creature from the sky could snatch you or your offspring must have been immense. It would have instilled a constant vigilance, an instinct for survival ingrained deep within our very being. Our ancestors had to be incredibly resourceful. They didn't have bows and arrows, or even effective spears, to defend themselves against such formidable predators. Their primary defense was likely communal vigilance, quick thinking, and the ability to understand their environment. Hiding, climbing trees, or seeking refuge in caves would have been critical. They would have learned to recognize the warning calls of other animals, to read the signs of the landscape, and to understand the habits of these giant birds. Perhaps they even learned to avoid certain areas during specific times of day when these avian hunters were most active. Every rustle in the grass, every shadow above, could signal danger. Life was also about gathering food. Our ancestors were likely omnivores, scavenging for meat when possible, and primarily relying on plants, fruits, and insects. This meant they were constantly exploring their surroundings, memorizing edible plants, and understanding seasonal changes. They weren't just surviving. They were thriving in their own way, slowly but surely developing the cognitive abilities and social structures that would eventually lead to us. They were learning about their world, passing down knowledge through generations, and laying the foundations for complex human societies. The challenges they faced, including those from giant birds, helped to sharpen their senses and hone their intelligence. Consider the social dynamics. Living under such constant threat would have fostered strong community bonds. Group cohesion was not just for comfort, but for survival. More eyes meant more warning, more hands meant more defense, and more minds meant better strategies for finding food and avoiding danger. Early human groups were likely small, tight-knit units where cooperation was paramount, sharing resources, looking out for one another, and collectively facing threats like those giant birds would have strengthened their social fabric. This cooperative spirit is a fundamental part of human nature that we can trace back to these very ancient times. As time went on, our ancestors started to develop more sophisticated tools. Simple stone tools, called Oldowan tools, mark a significant turning point. These choppers and flakes, though seemingly crude, allowed them to butcher carcasses, access marrow, and process plant materials more efficiently. This technological leap wasn't just about making life easier. It was about expanding their dietary options, increasing their chances of survival, and perhaps even giving them a slight edge against some predators. Imagine the confidence a sharp stone tool might have given them, even if it was a small defense against a bird the size of a dinosaur. It was a step towards greater control over their environment. The story of human evolution is one of constant adaptation, innovation, and courage. Those early humans, living under the shadow of incredible creatures like giant birds, faced challenges that would seem insurmountable to us today. Yet, they persevered. They learned, they adapted, they evolved. Every successful hunt, every evaded predator, every new tool developed, was a triumph. Their experiences shaped our instincts, our fears, and our incredible capacity for resilience. We carry a piece of their ancient spirit within us. It's truly humbling to think about the struggles and triumphs of our ancient ancestors. They weren't just surviving. They were laying the groundwork for everything that came after. Their intelligence, their social cooperation, and their sheer will to live, even in the face of incredible danger from terrifying predators, are what allowed humanity to flourish. The giant birds and other megafauna of that era were not just threats, but also catalysts for our evolution, pushing us to become smarter, more agile, and more connected. So, the next time you look up at a bird, however small, take a moment to appreciate the incredible journey our ancestors took. From living under the watchful eyes of colossal avian predators to becoming the dominant species on this planet, it's a story of extraordinary courage and adaptability. What an amazing chapter in our history. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible trip back in time. If you found this journey as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button. Share this video with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into history and all things amazing. Your support means the world to us. See you next time.